Okay, let's do this. So this is a room generator I made in Blender. It's pretty simple, honestly, with the way it actually works. I just made it look overly complex by poor planning and just in shitty naming. So yeah, and basically I'm just gonna call this like a version 1 and try and make a version 2 that's actually more functional and usable. But before I do that, I need to actually explain it to myself or how I'm going to be doing this in the future and how it actually works currently. So you can control the walls, obviously, and they'll scale to the floor. They'll scale to the floor. Yeah, control length and width. You can control the wall height. You can toggle each wall individually, which is all done pretty simply. You can change. I'm calling it a skirting, but could also just be a smaller inner wall or a cube-based wall. And you can also add doors or, well, again, what I'm calling doors, but just basically anything just, well, I guess would be pushed against a wall, or it could be pillars going up to the wall. I don't know. It's just, you know, they're all just placeholder cubes right now because I'll eventually get to actually doing more, I guess, furniture-y stuff, which is probably the next thing I'm going to be doing, or maybe even like just housing, like actual outside of houses. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, let me just get into how this is all done. Okay, so the whole room generator is based off this plane. This plane basically sets the floor size and the floor, like the floor's length and width. And then what you do is you just pretty much get a cube and just set its position to half of the floor plus half the cube to go out to the side, which can be seen here. So the walls are made of a cube and can be either done by a cube or a plane. And if it's a plane, all you have to do is, like I said, get half the floor plane's width, then either add or subtract it in whatever direction. However, since planes spawn on the X-Y axis, you will have to rotate your plane by 90 degrees, and obviously the corresponding axis of where the cube sits. So if it's sitting on the Y-axis, you're obviously rotating it by the X-axis. Yeah, so if it's sitting on the Y-axis, you're rotating it on the X-axis, and if it's sitting on the Y-axis, sorry, the X-axis, rotate by the Y-axis to actually get it to be perpendicular to your floor. With the cubes, it's a bit more complex. You obviously have to get the plane, half of the plane, because the center of the plane is in 0, 0. The edges are on pretty much negative 0.5 and positive 0.5. So you've got to get half of it to actually move in the proper direction, the correct amount of distance. Basically, what you have to do is to get half the plane's x-axis and use it to set the cube's position. What that'll do is basically set the center of the cube to the edge of the plane. So if you scale in x, then the cube will move with obviously the cube will move as the plane is being scaled. Otherwise, the cube would not move; it would just be in the center of the world. But obviously, a key issue is if I get the X-ray on, you can kind of see, as I've said, it's the center of the cube's in the position. So what you should also do is get your cube's x-axis and additionally get half your cube's x-axis to then obviously divide it by 0.5 to get half of it, so that it sits exactly on the edge. So that now that if you scale of the x, so if you scale the plane on x, the cube will move, and if you scale the cube, then it will actually stay in that position. However, what's happening is the cube isn't actually staying in that position. Instead you're shifting the center of the cube as it scales, and then you should also you basically just add them together and put them into a combine XYZ to create a vector, and then plug that into a translation. And additionally, if you want to have two walls opposite each other, just don't bother just recreating this entire thing. Just multiply it by -1 to get the opposite values. But obviously, you will just need to plug into two different transforms, as you are wanting two cubes to render, not just one cube. And then just use, and obviously this is like the simplest switch in here, but just it's a simple toggle that says if it's true, then show the wall. If it's false, don't show the wall. And that's basically just a copy for all four of those. Now onto something a bit more complex, which is scaling the walls to the plane. So scaling, we're sitting on the x-axis right now. So as what we had to do was shift the position by the x-axis. We want actually the cube to scale with the room the room's y-axis, which in this case is room width. So yeah, so basically what you do is you just get room width, and then you just pretty much set it to your y, and then you just again put it into a vector, combine x, y, z to make a vector, and set it to scale. That way it will scale with your room width. That's like the most simplest thing. However, obviously it gets a bit more complex with cubes, as it's pretty obvious a cube adds width to the room, and it's fine if you've only got 2 walls, but if you've got 3 or more walls, then you obviously, if you only have it set to your plane, then you'll have gaps in your walls at the corners. So you've got to change the scale of some of the walls to actually fill in those gaps. And the way you do it is either by getting the depending on if it's 1 or 2 walls. If it's 2 walls, you've got to multiply it by 2 because you're adding two double the amount of thickness. If it's just 1, you just add the cube width or length. It doesn't. Well, I guess it's just get the cube x-axis because it's all being scaled uniformly in this case. And either you multiply by 2 or you don't. And then you add. And you then add it to the room width y-axis, and then you plug it in. Additionally to that, you obviously need logic to say when it's only 3 walls, only add the skirting. If there's 4 walls, add the skirting times 2. That's done by using a not and command, and just links to the wall toggles. The not and command basically says that if one input is false, then it's true. And so basically, you just plug that into your wall toggles. And if one of those is false, then the switch output is true, which in this case would just be your room width plus skirting. And if it's false, then it's skirting width times 2 plus room width. But obviously, there's also the case where if you've only got if you don't have 2 walls, like what if you only have 1 wall toggled? Then if you have only 1 wall toggled, you don't want it extending past the room width. So then you just have a NOR toggle that says if both are true, then the thing is false. So yeah, you just plug the previous one into false, and then you just plug your room width into true. So that it just, so that it basically just sets it back to your room width and as scale. Additionally, you're changing its scale on the y-axis, so you do have to change its position too. And that's just a pretty simple fix. All you got to do is get the skirting width in this case again, and thickness, and shift in that direction on the axis you want to shift in. Again, if you're on the x-axis, you want to be shifting it then in the y-axis, so that it actually aligns instead of sitting centrally on the x-axis. And basically, you just need, again, a bit of simple logic to say when you should shift it and when you shouldn't shift it. The first one is an imply saying that which needs to be used because basically it says if the first input's true, then the second one's false, and if the second input's true, then the first one's false. That's basically because you need to actually state whether it should be shifting it in the negative or the positive value or the positive ones. So basically, just set the top one to positive to move in positive y, and set the bottom one to move in negative y. If obviously depending on which wall is being toggled. Then you've also got to have a check if the 2 walls are off or on. You can't have an and or use a nor one, because that'll mean it only trigger if both are either on or off. So you've got to use an equal to say that if both of the inputs are the same, then that's when you essentially just say don't bother moving the wall in the y direction, because there's no need to do that. That's pretty much it. Okay. And last but not least, the doors, or the what I'm calling doors. These are a bit more complex. These are made using mesh lines and basically spawning cubes on their points. So first things first, you've got to get the mesh line's position. The way I've done it is in the mesh line you can actually control either offset or endpoints. I chose endpoints so that I can do a bit of math to actually set the position of where it should start and where it should start and end. I'll just toggle off the walls because I guess that'll be the best way to explain it. So the mesh line itself isn't really visible due to obviously the position it's in. The best way I could say the best way I'd say the location of the mesh line is pretty much exactly on the edge of the plane, on the edges of this plane. The way that's done is just you want to get the x-axis, so you get the room's length, and then divide it by 0.5 to set the start position, which would be obviously 0.5 x equals 0.5. Then you just multiply it by -1 again to get the end position, which is exactly opposite the start position. If x is 0.5, then the end position will be minus 0.5. And basically that'll draw a line from the center across your entire plane. And then that'll just be a straight line across your entire plane. Then obviously, if depending on which side you want on, you'll have to get your room's y value and then just set that as its y value. If you're moving the line to one side of the plane, make sure your value is the same, because if you have negative y, then then it will set the start position in one corner, and if you have positive y, it'll go to the other corner. And yeah, then obviously you want to have the opposite also happen, so it's pretty much just the exact same, just you're multiplying your y value by -1 this time, so you get like a negative, so that way it goes in the right direction. I don't God. And additionally, you can include a bit of logic to basically, if you don't want the points of the line to go to the very edge, just add a bit of logic. Get the whatever item you're spawning with, add a slight amount, then subtract that from your line length, so that basically if rather being on the edge, let's say it's 1, we're subtracting 0.5, then and adding another 0.1, so it's so then it's 0.4 away from wherever edge is. That's just an example. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Then obviously you have a bunch of switches just to control when the doors should or shouldn't show up. I only used one switch in this case, but you can use multiple if you want more control over it. That's pretty much it. I know this hasn't been good, and it's probably been like a really confusing clusterfuck of a mess, which, it's kind of my own fault for not planning this out earlier. But yeah, I doubt anyone else has actually watched this.